Hey, how you doing, listeners? This is Gina Versa. It's just me today. Unfortunately, Diego was not feeling good, so it's just me and our guest today on Taco Monsters. We're reviving this for King Kong versus Godzilla. I have a good friend of mine from the Asylum. He worked under him on a few movies. Is Brendan Petrizzo? How are you doing, good sir?
Hello, Jean. I am good. I am in bed somewhere working on a show, and I can tell you this entire episode will be brought to you from my bed in
Nice.
the room. it'll
Yeah,
it'll be the in bed with Brendan show. So
there you
let's be
go.
cool and very intimate.
Yeah, it seems like a nice hotel. I mean,
Looks can be deceiving.
Oh, okay. We'll
Hmm.
keep it at that. But Brendan, how are you doing? We kind of asked people during this podcast the last couple of months how they are with COVID. If you want to tell us how you are, and then tell us a little about yourself.
How am I? I mean, I'm doing fine. You know, busy, very, very busy. I've been doing back-to-back movies since June. I had a little break when everything shut down, but jumped right back into it once it
Yeah.
got safer. And I actually ended up directing the first movie was shot, or one of the first ones that was shot in the middle of the pandemic. And that was an experience. It was an experience. It was fun, but it had its moments.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a weird excuse me. It's a weird production world right now. If you could attest to that, just kind of the
It
safety of that.
it's very it's different. I think every film set is different, and if you go into it with the right mindset, you'll be fine. And if you go in there kind of knowing that everyone's trying their best and everyone does want to be safe, at the end of the day, I feel like there's certain people who are very, self-centered, and they're like, oh my God, you're going to bring COVID into the house, or oh, you're going to do this. And it's like, well, if you think about it, you're like, well, if I'm on a film set, it's me and 50 to 100, 200 other people. Well, they don't want to get it either.
Mhm.
So I feel like everyone's being a bit more cautious. But at the same time, I feel like everyone's just also happy to be out of the house and doing
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's the date of this recording, it's 1 year, the 1 year anniversary of the
I
lockdown.
I was location scouting a year
Really?
to pop up on my phone for a movie that I was supposed to direct that is no longer happening.
Uh,
it was
yeah.
I was
Mhm.
so excited for it. I worked on it for a year and a half, and it was my actually it kind of relates to this episode. It was like my little homage to um, I would say King Kong, but there were elements of King Kong in there. It wasn't fully, it was King Kong, a little bit of Creature from the Black Lagoon, how to sprinkle that in there across. And finally, I'm a huge fan of Italian horror films of the 80s.
Oh, nice.
It was massively influenced by, Cannibal Ferox, Cannibal Holocaust, Slave, Mountain of the Cannibal God
Yeah.
stuff. But unfortunately, it's not happening.
Dang.
Future, though, it can,
Yeah.
fingers crossed. I mean, you know, one day.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully, when things are back to normal, less COVID in the air. But yeah, I wish you the best of luck on that. But yeah, what can you tell us about Monster Hunters, the film that you directed for Asylum?
Oh my goodness. Well, I can tell you anything you want to know. What do you want to know about it? Ask me any
Oh,
question
sure.
that you want.
Yeah, no, it's all good. Yeah, so what is Monster Hunters like? Is it what is it, a mockbuster of any movie in particular? Because I think I just saw Monster Hunter, which
It
was pretty good.
Yes, it's a monster. It's a mockbuster, or it's supposed to be a mockbuster of Monster Hunter.
Hmm.
In reality, it's more of a. I guess I would say like Men in Black meets Alien 3 in a way.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't
On the podcast, we love Alien 3, so that's right in our ballpark.
love
Yeah, no, it's yeah, people need to respect Alien 3.
Yes, Alien 3 is fun, especially the extended one. That's
Yeah, director's cut.
yeah.
Um, and this, yeah, and the term we're using because we're asylum alums, goes off the our vocabulary. But for any listener that's not familiar with the term blockbuster, how would you describe that definition?
Quite bluntly, it's a ripoff. But if Paul, who's one of the executives over there, explains it the best way.
Hmm.
Mm, You know, yes, it's a ripoff. However, think about it like this: you go to the grocery store, you want to buy orange juice. There is the brand one,
Hmm.
and then you have the grocery store brand one, which tastes a little bit different, but it's still orange juice. It says orange juice and it tastes like orange juice. It's orange juice. So this movie is similar. Is it the Monster Hunters you were expecting? No, but it's the one that you got.
Yeah,
You're going to sit down and you're going to shut the fuck up and you're going to enjoy it.
yeah. And there's not too many films out right now, so you
No,
know, yeah.
but it got a little buzz. It got a little bit of attention, enough to keep me busy for about a week,
Oh,
uh,
awesome.
at home doing nothing.
Yeah, and it seemed like you were a kaiju fan growing up. How was it like to direct like a monster movie of your own?
Very unexpected. I had to shift gears. Like I said, I was in Italian cannibal world, prepping that movie of doing, graphic, gory effects and all this stuff, just switching to, okay, I'm doing like a monster action kind of sort of horror movie, but not really horror. And, part of me was very much like not, I did not want to direct the movie. Like, I will
Hmm.
tell you this, when I got the phone call, I I needed a day to think about it. And even after I agreed to it, I still didn't really want to do it. So it was this giant for about a week. I was kind of pissed off. Um, and I had no one to talk to, and it sucked. Um, so I was like in my room and I was like, how am I going to make this work? Like, what am I going to do? Like, this isn't how I wanted my first feature to go. Like, I'm very much of a, this is, I can be a perfectionist. And, I'm like, this is not how I wanted my first movie to go. So after, being pissy for a day or two, for no reason, I sat down and was like, okay, how can I like craft this into a movie that I would want to watch? How would I make this something that I'd want to watch and I'd have fun doing? So I kind of broke it down in a way of, number one, why are people watching this movie? They're watching this movie because they want to see monsters. What do they want to see the monsters doing? They want to see them killing people, and they want to see lots of action. That is all that matters. Like, that is, no one, sometimes everyone's different directors, different producers will say different things. Some people will say, if you're doing one of these type of films, you need to focus on the characters. But then you think about it, why are people watching these movies? They're not watching this movie because they want to go on an emotional adventure with characters. They don't give a fuck about that. They want to go and see all the crazy shit that happens along the way. Now, you still have to make sure the characters are developed. You want to make sure they have a backstory. You want to make it sure it's interesting, but you want to put most of your focus, at least for me, I put it in, how can I make this movie move forward and be crazy and exciting, within the boundary that I have. So for me, I readjusted basically every kill in there. I redid and recrafted. So it was something, more memorable. And I wanted every death scene, or at least as many of them as I could do, to be different and memorable. So, if you watched it, it was kind of like watching a Friday the 13th movie, where you're like, oh shit, this crazy thing happens. I wanted to make sure that the ending was a lot bigger than most, films of this caliber, I think
Hmm.
people would say. So, I did what Roger Corman would do, or there's an Italian film director named Bruno Mattei. His movies are absolute shit, but he would do the same thing. So we're gonna say I took this idea from Roger Corman,
Okay.
uh, but I felt that the ending of Monster Hunters wasn't big enough. It wasn't exciting enough. It was very boring and it made no sense because it literally had an alien spaceship coming down for no reason. And I was like, and then, it had them running around the warehouse for no reason. So it's like, why? This makes no sense. So I added in an entire air, like the Air Force versus the alien ships. And
Mm-hmm.
I got a little bit of pushback on it, but
Mm.
just a little bit. But it wasn't necessarily like a no, because the movie wasn't short. It didn't need more running time. And when you direct, these movies, it's essentially you're like a TV director. You're not like an artist. So you have to, to do changes like that, you have to have a really good relationship with everyone involved and you have to convince them of why you're doing it. And luckily, I get along with all of them and, I convinced them. And, I was like, hey, what if we add this? It'll make the ending a lot bigger. It'll make the film seem a lot bigger than it really is. And it worked. We did pull that from a different movie, but
Mm-hmm.
the thing is, it did make the movie bigger. If you notice in the beginning, when Tom Sizemore is doing his monologue, I wanted to I wanted to make the world bigger and expand it and have different, different aliens in there. I wanted to have different things. I wanted people, who are watching this for the first time to be like, oh, this is not just like a one-off thing. It's like, there are other worlds. There are other things in here. There is some crazy shit, like it's not just a tiny budget B movie. It's like there was thought put into this. And
Yeah.
remember a few people afterwards told me they were like, holy shit, you kind of built a little monster universe of asylum stuff. And I'm like, that's the plan. And, for the
Yeah.
5 people who've seen all their movies, it's fun to see references of stuff like that. And, I love little Easter eggs like that. So, and then for people who haven't, it just makes the world seem a bit bigger.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, like, yeah, just to get the most bang out of your buck. Yeah, that's the way to go. And I mean, there's you guys have like a really like kind of like niche cult following too. So I'm sure they appreciated it, the
Yes.
audience.
So the practical effects, because that's a thing that not
Sure.
many people do on these lower budget movies anymore. And that's something I pushed for when I signed on to it. I'm like, I have to have my makeup artist, Monique. I'm like, she has to do the movie with me
Hmm.
because she knows what I like. And she and I both are fans of the same horror films. And we both are huge practical effects fans. So I've made sure that, all the scenes where, you have Cherish after she's like smashed in the mirror. I wanted all the glass in her face and I wanted it to be crazy. And, when Yaz is torn in half, I wanted the torso and all that, like I wanted to make sure that the movie had enough practical effects in there too, because it's fun seeing the real thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's also the thing with practical versus like digital. Like, as long as it works or it eats the movie, yeah, like it's the way to go.
The
Kind of.
razzle,
Oh, sorry.
you have to give that extra razzle dazzle that people need.
Yeah, there you go. Just going up, kind of changing gears. What do you think? Because I've been on a few Asylum movies, and it's really you guys are on a tight knit schedule. What was like the biggest challenge, kind of with working through COVID and all this, trying to be as safe as possible.
Honestly, the biggest challenge wasn't the movie itself, um, for the making of it. It was very easy to do because I've been with that company for so long. You have to go into it with the right mindset. You have to go into it, you know, just knowing at any minute. Anthony really helped me. I'm so happy he was, producing it for me, because he was like, you're going to have to kill your babies. He's like, you're
Hmm.
all these things, you have to kill them all. Luckily, I got everything I wanted. Um,
Yeah.
as I think some people come into there and they're just like, I'm going to make the best movie and I'm going to show them. And it's like, no, uh, it's not going to work, because they have their way of making movies. That's how
Hmm.
they make movies. It works fine for them. So for me, making the film wasn't the hardest part. There were other things that were a lot more difficult and a lot more challenging that I had to deal with. And, it threw a wrench into the entire production thing and made production a living nightmare for other reasons. But, the making of the movie itself was very simple and very easy, even with COVID and all that, because everyone knew what they were doing and they were so good at it.
Yeah. When did you guys like film this, by the way?
We filmed it in June.
Oh, okay. June of last year.
We
Yeah,
filmed
so
it in June and it came out in August.
gotcha. And just kind of wrapping up, talking about this before we go on to our main event of the two movies. Where can people find this? Any listeners if they want to rent or buy the movie?
Well, you can find it on iTunes, Amazon. You can buy it on YouTube. I think there's a bootleg on YouTube. Basically, anywhere where you can stream movies, it's there. The weird places are like the Microsoft Store, Fandango. But yeah, like iTunes, like all that shit. And it's on Prime. It's also on Prime.
Oh, okay.
It's
Yeah,
on Amazon Prime. You can watch it for free. Uh,
gotcha. Yeah, that's how I watched it. So, but yeah, no, I'd recommend
Here's
everyone to check it out. And sorry, what were you gonna say?
your favorite part.
Oh, I was actually digging the opening that you were saying. So, yeah,
Little collage of creatures.
yeah, and yeah, I don't know. It was I believe you had did you have Jonathan Nation
Mhm.
on it? Oh, okay. Me and the Condalix where I worked on a movie with them, Jurassic Galaxy, so that was cool. I wasn't
Oh,
sure that was him.
Classic Galaxy. Yeah, no, Jonathan was great. I was very like when Anthony was like, "Oh, we're getting Jonathan." I at first I'm like, he sounds familiar, and it turns out he was in Mega Piranha, which is the movie that made me go like, I want to direct for Asylum. So it
Oh,
was kind of fun. Even in Mega Piranha, he had a quick cameo and he gets eaten. In this one, he has a quick cameo, he gets eaten. It was great. He's fun to work with.
yeah. No, he's a cool guy. But cool, yeah. I would recommend everyone to check it out, and yeah, support some mockbusters.
Yeah.
Cool, cool. So main topic here, since Kong versus Godzilla comes out, God, in like 12 days at the end of the month through
Mhm.
through HBO Max. I'm gonna be talking two movies. The original Godzilla, the Japanese cut, which is the best way to see it. I'm not trying to be pretentious, but the American version does take a lot of liberties.
It
But
does its own thing. I agree with you on that. Like the
yeah,
American one does its own thing. I mean, some people like it, some people don't. To each their own.
yeah, and
Mm,
hmm and
but
we
the
were. Oh,
is the
sorry.
way to go. The
Yeah,
Japanese is the way to go.
exactly. And we also had King Kong Escapes, which was another Toho film that came out. I believe it comes out after the original Kong versus Godzilla, where
Mhm.
Toho still had the license for Kong, so they were doing some weird stuff. But Brendan, what are your thoughts on Godzilla or Gojira, the original version?
I liked it. I really, really enjoyed it. When I first saw it, obviously I was a lot younger. It was right after Peter Jackson's King Kong came out. They kind of reissued everything. So, that Godzilla came out. They, I think, had a new DVD or something or VHS for, Godzilla 2000.
Oh, okay.
So
Godzilla 2000. That's oh, I haven't heard of that movie in a bit. That has the one of the best Godzilla lines where it's like was it this missile could has like this missile could go through Godzilla like shit through a goose, which is like I don't know if they actually said that and it got translated or like the translator just randomly put something there, but that's such a weird fucking line.
they had all those. But, with the original one, I thought it was fun because it was like it's the original monster in a suit, or like
Yeah.
in a suit type thing. And I thought that was fascinating. I thought some of their effects were, really good for the time and, for what they were trying to do. You could definitely tell that they were influenced a lot by American films like them, um, Tarantula, The Deadly Mantis, The Beast
Yeah.
of
I
a Thousand
think
Suns. You could see the influence in there.
mhm. I was gonna say it's like a weird like a snake eating its tail where I
Mm-hmm.
believe they were also inspired by the original King Kong as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
No, that was the top one, but there were other influences as well, not from all those movies because some of them came after, but like sprinkled about. You could kind of see it, but it's always fascinating with different monster movies or films in general to see how one country takes that inspiration and uses it. Like for America, I mean, you saw what happened when they did Godzilla
Mm.
the first time.
Oh, the Matthew Broderick one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh god.
And then they did it again, and then it got a little better.
Yeah.
But compared to when Japan did their version of King Kong. And fun
Right.
fact, did you know that in Japan they did their own version of King Kong?
Oh, like is it like a knockoff version?
Way back in the 30s they did, and but then after World War II, all the prints were destroyed from the atomic bombs. But there are a few stills out there, so it's really cool that at some point there was a Japanese version of King Kong.
Yeah, I think I read about that vaguely, but it was like I didn't like know like the full history. Because yeah, I mean, like if anyone finds that, that's like the holy grail of like lost media.
It's that, and then there's the famous King Kong spider pit scene.
Oh yeah, like the one that Peter Jackson tries to like restore.
We were doing that for the movie that never ended up happening. We had that scene in there. I
Oh
forced,
really?
yeah,
Oh
because I was like, we have to do it.
yeah. No, yeah, that's just looking up all the lost media of like all these films that didn't get preserved is like crazy. But speaking of which, the original Godzilla, just the scenes that you see in this version, like there's a scene where Godzilla's like destroying I forgot what city, it's like Tokyo, what have you, but like the mom is telling like the little son like, oh, we're gonna see your dad soon, you
Mhm.
know, like scenes like that got lost in the American cut of the film, and I think like that makes Godzilla that much more meaningful, has that much more depth to
It-
it, like the writing's that much stronger, it really like conveys like kind of like the plight of the country that they were trying to like convey, Ishiro Hondo, the director, and all the writers,
Mhm.
so yeah. Which begs the question, you've seen the Raymond Burr version too, Godzilla King of the Monsters, right? Yeah. Yeah, that's as much as you could say about that movie because
The movie from I think it's the 70s, and it's called Tidal Wave, and
oh, okay.
it's a Japanese film. It's about 2 hours long, and they did the exact same thing where they're like, we're going to film 10-15 minutes with this washed up actor, and we're going to just intercut it throughout the film, call it Tidal Wave, say the sky is the star. And then when you go and watch it, it's obviously you yeah, same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like, I understand like they were trying to, get a broader audience and a wider audience and like getting to America, but the way they put Raymond Burr in those like it feels like they're like did you ever see that episode of The Simpsons where it's like Stan Lee guest stars and he's trying to like put the Thing in a Batmobile and it's like it's not fitting and it's like you have like stand-ins of like the main cast that do not obviously a stand-in and he's just talking to them and they're not talking back to him at all and it's just like yeah it's like I get it but it's like the way you went about it it's like that was the worst and it's odd too because they bring him back in Return of Godzilla like he's like he has like a role in the movie and I don't know if a lot of the audience like remembers him, but it's like 30 or 40 years later, and it's like the weirdest thing. No offense to Raymond Burr, I'm sure he's a great actor, but yeah,
It's just there's another they would do stuff like that sometimes. There's a movie from the 80s, Italian horror film,
mm-hmm.
and it was originally called Zombie Holocaust. And an American distributor was like, they put it out. The movie was fine. It did fine at the Grindhouse theaters. But then a distributor was like, all right, we're going to take that movie. We're going to take 10 minutes out of it. We're going to put 10 minutes of random shit in there and re release it as Dr. Butcher. And they did.
That's wild. Yeah, just
I knew.
yeah, yeah, just like the way like some movies get like re-edited, it's just crazy. But yeah, the original Godzilla, like I think like 50 or 60 years after it came out, I think like 70 now. Yeah, it still holds up, just I love how Godzilla's portrayed in this because I don't think in any of the other films like he's portrayed like that terrifying. Because
Mm-hmm.
it's like when he shows up, it's like over like a hill or he's like a silhouette or like he's just, like do you remember the scene where the reporters are like reporting as he's like lunging towards them and like gonna knock it over? Like he's scary. He's like terrifying in this movie. I remember as a kid I loved the movie, but I was pretty scared watching this
I
actually.
was like, okay.
Yeah, because it's like, he's supposed to represent just basically like the atomic bomb, like, why you shouldn't like mess with this like weapons or, you know, atomic energy or
Very
whatever.
interested to see now, what horror movies are kind of going to evolve into in the next 2 to 3 years. Because I swear to God, if it's all COVID related, I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah, it's I think this is like I was reading a term for it. It's like COVID cinema where you see that. I'm not sure if you saw Songbird or
Yeah.
was it like with Anne Hathaway? It's not a horror movie, but it's like Locked Up. I will go to bat for because it's not really a COVID movie. It's kind of, but not really, In the Earth by Ben Whiteley.
Mm.
Yeah, we were big fans of him on the show, but yeah, that's the only one where I'm like, oh, okay, this works. But yeah, everything else kind of it seems kind of in poor taste because it's like, a lot of escapism that you would want in a movie and reminding them of like the
Maybe
worst year of their life.
movies like Mandy and The Color Out of Space. I'd love to see horror go into like a weird direction again.
Yeah.
Be fun.
Or yeah, no, Mandy's great. I love that. If you saw, what was the other Nick Cage film?
Color Out of Space.
Oh, Color Out of Space. Okay. Oh, no, Willy's Wonderland.
Yes. Oh, I love Willy's Wonderland.
Yeah, that was yeah, I'd recommend that for everyone just to check out because it's
If
a
you
movie.
see,
Hmm.
watch it. I watched it like a month ago, like the day it came out at 3 in the morning. It's the best.
Yeah, no, it really is because it's a concept of Nick Cage beating up like Chuck E. Cheese animatronics, and it gives you exactly that. So like,
I'm gonna there. This is some. I guess it could be considered a spoiler. So
sure.
if you don't like spoilers, skip ahead 30 seconds. But I love how Nicolas Cage not once says a fucking word in the movie. He does not say a goddamn word.
Yeah, like at most like he grunts, but that's not like dialogue. Um,
All he
y-
That's it.
yeah, no, that was yeah. I love that fact that he never speaks. He just destroys animatronics and like plays pinball and drinks.
15-minute break.
Yeah, that was yeah. Everyone should check that out. But any last thoughts on Godzilla? Kind of anything like noticeable
You know,
that. Mhm.
I mean, I just think it's fascinating how kind of like the world did their own weird interpretations of it. We have the Raymond Burr thing, we have the Argento colorized version of
Oh,
it.
that's right.
Like I just think it's interesting how like everyone gravitated towards this one movie and kind of did their own thing with it.
Hmm.
And it's nice to see that the original version is still the
Still the best. Yeah, I have not seen actually the Argento colorized version. What can you say about that?
it's Godzilla in color. I mean, like
Yeah.
there's it's Godzilla in color. It's like when they colorized King Kong. It's
Hmm.
King Kong in color. I mean, personally, I like black and white movies, but I enjoyed the color version and I still have it and I still watch it when I'm feeling spicy. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I really don't. I don't know why people get so pissy. I'm like, it's a preference. Like, yeah, black and white's nice, but you know,
Yeah, because I want to see it now, but it's like Blade Runner. There's like multiple cuts of it, and you know, whichever version you want to check out is you could go with it at the end of the day.
Runner's cuts though, I've seen 3 of them. I don't think I've seen the work print one. I've seen
Okay.
the original, director's cut, and then I own
It's the ultimate cut.
like I own the final cut and like
Okay, the final cut.
yeah,
Yeah.
final cut's the best one. That's what he wanted. Watch that one.
Yeah. Even though yeah, Deckard is not a replicant, still great.
Think he is though.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's debatable because it's like everyone says a different answer for that production.
I think it also depends on which one you're watching, you know.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But yeah, for Godzilla, yeah, not anything else to say. I don't think anything really beats the original. I think Shin Godzilla comes close if anyone's seen that. But you know, the original Godzilla film is amazing. So yeah, go check it out before you watch King Kong versus Godzilla. And I guess that leads to our second film for this double feature, King Kong Escapes, which was made by Toho when they still had the license. I think it's like 1965.
Mm-hmm.
And this is this is like after they already used King Kong in King Kong versus Godzilla. And God, I'm not sure what to say about this movie because I watched this for the first time uh, for this recording, and I was like, I loved it in the sense like this is freaking weird, but it's like, you
Wild.
know, yeah, it's crazy because it's you know, it's kind of going back to what you're saying where you know this is a because King Kong ultimately he's a American kind of cinema icon and like having this other culture like reinterpret him is pretty interesting, and I would give it points. And this is one of the reasons why I like the Skull Island, where they do like something like different with Kong because you know you watch like the Jeff Bridges, and I love the Peter Jackson one, but it's kind of the same story, you know, where it's like you know, this film crew goes to the island. They take like this you know, actress and they're trying to film a movie, but it's like you're seeing that for all the remakes and the fact that this has like just like an excavation team and like a giant robot of Kong is like that's awesome, you know.
It's definitely an experience.
Yeah, so what were your thoughts on King Kong Escapes?
Oh God. Well, when I saw it as a kid, you know, it's like I had just watched the 1970s Jessica Lange, Jeff Bridges version.
Yeah.
And that is a very well done film.
Yeah.
It is a very fascinating one. The production behind it is a lot more interesting than the movie itself, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's who is the producer? It's the guy that did like Flash Gordon, right?
It's produced it.
God, it's like no, it's like the guy that worked on Evil Dead, or am I mistaken?
I don't think anyone in Evil Dead did.
Oh, no, or Army of Darkness, the Italian producer.
Dina De Laurentiis
Yeah, he worked on King Kong 76. Okay.
did, and then he did the sequel, King Kong Lives.
Oh.
Seen that at this point, which I think that would be a better pairing with these two movies. I think they would go. But so I watched, you know, the Jessica Lange one, and then I watched, you know, this one.
Mhm.
And I remember I was in, I wouldn't say I was shocked, all right, because you can tell by the cover of the movie what you're getting into. And I remember I think I like was borrowing it from a friend or something, or I was watching it with one of my friends, and I remember it was on VHS, you know, 100%
Mhm.
VHS, and it was definitely one of those ones where you're just like, okay, this is gonna be a thing. Um, I was a little thrown off because it was like I at the time was like really into, you know, I don't know. I saw on the back it was rated G. So I'm like, great, this movie's gonna suck. Like it's not gonna be good,
Yeah.
fun. Because it's common knowledge that if a movie's rated G, there is a 85% chance it's not gonna be good. So, which is true across the board. Um, but you know, this one was dumb fun.
Yeah, yeah, that's one word to describe it because
In the right state of mind, if you're with the right people, like I was, it is a very good experience and it's a very, very fun, fun time. What I thought was really cool is that I think you pronounce her name Mai Hama. She was one of the leads. She was in James Bond's movie, You
Hmm.
Only Live Twice, which I'm a huge James Bond fan. So
Oh,
that was
really? Oh,
fun.
dang.
To
I,
see.
I, I
So
did not notice that. That's pretty cool.
yeah, I thought that was fun. I was actually, and she was also in King Kong versus Godzilla. But I thought it was cool because I had recently done, we did a James Bond marathon, and I was like, oh my god, it's what's her name from the movie, like.
Yeah.
So
Was that in preparation for like whenever No Time to Die will eventually come out?
no, I mean this is years ago. This is back
Oh, okay.
when I was in like middle school, or it was right after. It was like maybe middle school, beginning of high school, something like that.
Gotcha.
Do bad movie nights with my friends, and for a while it started as good movie nights, and then we discovered Asylum and just stayed there.
There you go. But yeah, no, this film is just like interesting where it's almost like Toho where it's like, all right, we kind of figured out because this period's like they more or less, they know how they wanted to make the Godzilla films, like they know the type of like plots and everything. And they're almost kind of like borrowing elements from Godzilla. I believe this comes out around like the time they already had the idea for like Mecha Godzilla.
Mhm.
And they're, it's like we have one of Godzilla mecha version. Why not give it to Kong? And it's just like yeah, it's just wild that, this is Toho's like this is how they view this like character, you know. And like even in Kong versus Godzilla where they they're giving him like I think he has like a power of like electricity or something or whatever. But yeah, it's interesting where it's like they're doing their own version, but then you still have elements of like the 30s one where it's like King Kong is like always attracted to a blonde, like a blonde lady, or like like a damsel or what have you, like he always like, that's the thing that like stays with that character, I guess, which all the interpretations.
Which, I mean, I've always been a blonde, but when I became a blonde, I will tell you that blondes do have more fun. It is a definite fact. I will
Mhm,
confirm that if you happen to wake up blonde one day,
mhm.
trust me, there is, yes, that saying is true.
Yeah, like a giant ape will like be outside your hotel room just like looking, you know. But yeah, yeah, I don't know. This film, it's yeah, I don't know. It's just like interesting, just like the way it's like plotted. It's very like comic booky, or there's like a base in the Arctic where there's like a evil like scientist character you would see like in pulp films, and it's like, yeah, this movie's like kind of insane, and
Giant pulp novel just made into a movie. That's basically what it is.
mhm,
If you think about it from the artwork on the original poster and
right,
the story itself, it's a giant pulp novel.
mhm,
It's fascinating. It's crazy, it's wild, but it's a bit janky,
yeah.
but it's fun.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, that's the most, that's the best thing you could say. Like, it's not dull for sure. Like, it's not boring. The only thing I can't like, I don't get, and it maybe could be like like some weird like studio thing is like I don't know why they didn't use the costume, like the giant monster costume from Kong versus Godzilla in this one because he looks different, and Toho has like kind of a problem towards like the later Godzilla film of like they reuse a lot of the same costumes where I think it's like God like Son of Godzilla where he like his face looks like you could see like tears on the costume or like it looks like battered. And I'm like, I don't know why they decided to go with like a new Kong design because it doesn't look good as he did in the previous film. And like he looks like smaller and he looks different. And yeah, I don't know. That was kind of lost on me.
Yeah, I wonder if it has something to do, like, I wouldn't be surprised if it was one of those, like, I've seen film studios and people make the decision of, okay, we're doing a dinosaur movie. Oh, well, we have a dinosaur suit. We can wear it. It's fine. It's still brand new. And then it's like, no, we're not going to use it at all. They don't want to use it. They're like, no, 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 no. We're only going to do VFX. And it's like, but we have a perfectly good working
Yeah.
dinosaur sitting here. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, where they're just like, we want a new suit. We don't like this look. We want something else. Or if the creator of the suit was like, the original one was like, no, you can't use that for the next film. You have to, like, you can't use my design. You have to use someone else's, which I don't believe that one for this, because that doesn't seem to fit this series. I would
Yeah.
out on, like, maybe if it was like a tiny indie movie and it was a monster movie, and then the second one it looks a bit different. But yeah, with something like this, I think it's probably coming from a much higher place of, we don't want that, or maybe the costume just broke. But
Yeah.
more, it honestly seems like it's more of a executive somewhere being like, we don't we don't want that. We want to change the look up.
Yeah. It's always, yeah, that one executive. But yeah, and I was also gonna say, I correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is also the last time you see Kong in like any of the Toho movies, because he's originally supposed to be in Destroy All Monsters, actually, which,
And he's not.
yeah. But you see, I guess like an Easter egg, the dinosaur he's wrestling with at the beginning, I think it's called like Gurusaurus or something.
Mm-hmm.
He comes back in Destroy All Monsters, so whatever role I guess Kong was gonna have might have been like given to Gurusaurus or something. So
And all that.
yeah, yeah, but that would have been cool.
Now,
Uh,
a
yeah.
God question for you.
Oh, sure.
Do you remember back in 2016, there was a Godzilla movie where they used a suit, and it was called Shin Godzilla?
Yes, yeah. If anyone's listening to the podcast, like they know I go to bat for Shin Godzilla so hard. So yeah, I love that movie, and yeah,
But it's on my watch list. I wanted to ask you about it, and
sure.
feel like it captured, like, did it have that nostalgia from like these films, like the classics? Was it able to bring that back, or did it translate to a modern audience, or do you think it was a bit
No, yeah, I think they really like carried like kind of that spirit of like, how like some of the visual effects of how Godzilla looks, kind of I think like they said, oh, well, it needs to like look like if he was in a suit, and they really carry that in that film, and some of it kind of does like, yeah, I think they used the monster suit for maybe like a shot or two, but yeah, I would say so. And it's also, if anyone's into anime, it's from like the guy who directed it is made Neon Genesis Evangelion, so like it's like the weirdest anime creator taking over Godzilla, so it's like it has like everything. So yeah, I love that movie so much.
it seems like fun. Like, I looked it up before, because obviously, you
Sure.
started rereading and rewatching these films, and then this one popped up, and I was just like, I remember when it came out.
Yeah.
I never saw it, and then the more I read about it, the more I'm just like, I have a lot of questions.
Yeah, no, it's amazing because it's I think that's like the better reinterpretation of Godzilla, like in this decade of like filmmaking or whatever, than like the legendary one, because Shin Godzilla deals a lot with kind of how Japan felt after the Fukushima disaster and the tidal wave, where like they were really let down by like the bureaucracy of the government, like no one really helped them, and Shin Godzilla really has like a lot to critique, because it's basically like saying like, I guess kind of like COVID, how a lot of like elected officials like just they don't like have a lot of empathy for people, or they don't get it, and that goes back to the original Godzilla, where it's a kind of like this not morality tale, but this kind of like a coded film on like how they felt like post-war. So it really does that well. And like legendary Godzilla, for what it is, I like it, but it doesn't really talk about like Japan or like what Godzilla means to that country. So yeah, I'd really recommend Shin Godzilla.
Honestly, I'll probably watch that tonight after this
Oh,
because
there you go.
it'd be fun, Gene.
Hmm.
An episode of just talking about Shin Godzilla. I mean, I need to watch it and see if there's a lot to talk about, but it seems fascinating. Like, I don't know, it just you don't get monsters in suits anymore. People, I keep saying,
Yeah.
you don't get the suit monsters. It doesn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. If you're pitching it to me, yeah. Yeah. I'd be glad to. Maybe we could have like a bonus episode or something for this series for sure. But yeah, I'd be down.
Like, there's a whole other conversation there. But I
Yeah.
haven't yet, so I don't know. Like there might not be.
Yeah. Yeah. If you don't like it, be like, yeah. But I guess that kind of winding down here, that leads us to our last topic, which is Godzilla versus Kong, which we'll see at the end of the month. But Brendan, are you Team Kong or Team Godzilla?
Um, this might change after watching Shin Godzilla,
Okay.
but I'm still team King Kong because I feel like that movie series has more um, history to it in a sense of you have mystery, you have the spider pit sequence from the original one, you have the third King Kong film from 1934 that was supposed to be made that wasn't, you have the original, there's just so much mystery and so many things to look into on that series. You have the TV cut of the 70s King Kong, which is officially being re-released
Oh, awesome.
in the summer. I have the bootleg one. Great. If you have a chance to watch it, get the bootleg one because it's great. But I feel like King Kong has, like, production wise, a bit more of a crazy history. Like, originally in the 70s one, there was gonna be the giant snake was gonna eat some sailors. Didn't end up in the movie. They tried to film it, but it didn't work. So it's like stuff like that, that was stuff like that. I think for me personally, it just makes the movie series a lot more interesting. Whereas for Godzilla, I mean, while it's fascinating for other things. It's more of an environmental thing. Like, I haven't heard really any production stories of, like, well, we filmed this one sequence and it was taken out. Like, you do have your alternate versions, but, like,
Yeah.
many movies have alternate versions. Um, but I don't know. So I'm still Team Kong for that reason.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. It's all good. I mean, each side is valid. I guess we'll see who wins at the end of the month when we see the film.
I
Even
mark my words, no one's gonna win. There's really they're gonna drag this thing out. Like, there's not really gonna be a
yeah. Or what if it's like BVS, where it's like, it's like their moms both have the same first name, and they decide not to fight. You know,
they
um,
up and destroy everyone.
yeah, they just destroy everything. But I will say King Kong does have opposable thumbs, so he's got that going for him.
He does that. Having opposable thumbs that's a good thing to have. But I'm curious, because how tall was he in Skull?
Oh, I think he's like 100 feet, but he's still kind of like he's basically like a teen in that movie, and now he's an adult, so he's like bigger. So I think he's like,
In
what's that?
Skull Island, he's a teen.
Yeah, that's what they said.
Okay.
That's the official explanation. So that's what I'm going with.
Jesus, that's what happens when you don't plan out your series, is you just kind of go, oh, you're like, yeah, all right, we're making more of these. He's a teen. Got it.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, it's better than any explanation I heard from like Endgame or something for all the,
That is true.
yeah, for any of the stuff that
Do
doesn't.
do what the card's given. So I mean,
Yeah,
it is what it is.
definitely.
The teen, great, awesome. So Skull Island is about um, a teenager's rampage and all
Yeah,
that. Love it.
yeah, and it's like an allegory, I guess, for the Vietnam War or something. I don't know.
Great references in there.
Yeah,
If you know your movie history.
Yeah.
Good ref.
No. Oh, sorry. Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, I enjoy the film for what it is. I know it has some strong dislikers, but
I don't know why. If you're gonna remake a movie, do that, because do either what Peter Jackson did or do Skull Island. Both of those, I think, are exactly how remakes should go, because Peter Jackson's one just expanded, and it took the original one to a whole new level.
yeah,
Whereas Skull Island changed it, but they made it into this massively fascinating, entertaining movie that it's very different than what you're used to, but at the same time, I think that's what makes it fun, because it's like an original thing.
yeah,
Yes, they're on an island. Yes, you'll see, those creatures, but it's still fascinating, and it's
yeah,
vastly different from what, you're expecting. Whereas, Peter Jackson's one, still one of the best remakes ever made. um, it's still kind of a paint by numbers if you're a
yeah,
fan of, if you're a fan of it and you know how it goes, then it's like, okay, this happens, this happens, this happens, very
yeah,
done, but it is what it is.
yeah. It takes a lot of the plot beats from the original and kind of does their own thing. Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I like Skull Island, for that reason. I was gonna say because I think this clip, uh, I keep seeing this on Twitter where one of the Academy Awards has, I think they were doing something for visual effects, like a segment, and it has the um, 1998 Godzilla fighting the Peter Jackson King Kong, which is like the coolest thing I've ever seen. And they had it like for maybe like less than a minute, and it's like some alternate universe. There's that film out there.
It's Yeah, I'm always curious about that. And that was like the right after, what was it? It was right before Lord of the Rings. Peter
Mhm.
Jackson was supposed to do King Kong. And I vaguely remember when I was like 2 or 3, there was some like newspaper article, and I just remember seeing a picture of like, like the King Kong holding like Fay Ray or something,
Yeah,
and my mom was like, "Oh, that's King Kong. It's a giant gorilla that holds a girl." And I was like, okay. And that was it. That was my introduction to King Kong. Um, but I'm pretty convinced that it was like an article about how that movie was going to be made, and it was never made.
yeah, yeah. They went pretty far on the pre-production for that because I think he talks about it in like because it's a really good DVD. The making of feature of his King Kong on the DVD for I think the extended cut for King Kong, which everyone should check out. But yeah, that's probably what it was. But yeah, you know, see all the King Kongs because they're all fun in their own way. There's no boring King Kong for sure. I guess that kind of wraps up our statements on Kong.
I don't know. Like, they're all fun. I mean, the 70s one, it's a lot of walking and talking.
Yeah,
It's a glorified B movie because it's a lot of walking and talking. It's a lot of just, oh, this, oh, that,
yeah,
oh, this, oh, that. And that's it. Now, I'm a huge Jessica Lange fan because of,
mhm,
Feud and American Horror Story. So it's really cool to go back and watch it and see her play this like ditzy blonde.
yeah,
And then like the next day watching her play this like badass bitch like burning people alive. It's great.
yeah,
But
and yeah, and as that character too, she does something. It's different than all the other versions of that character too. So yeah,
very, very different.
yeah. So I guess just wrapping up here, Brendan. Where can people find you at? Do you have any social media you want to promote?
Yes, I am on everything, but I'm only going to give out my Twitter and my Instagram
Sure.
because that's where it's best. I only do Facebook for close friends and family. Gene, you're on my Facebook, but no one else will be on my Facebook. This
Okay.
it'll just be my secret and yours. So my Instagram is Brendan Petrizzo, BrendanPetrizzo. All right, no one can fuck that up. I spelled it out for you. Um, my Twitter's the exact same thing, or you could just type me into Google and it'll pop up. Um, that's me, and that's how you can keep up to date with all the crazy stuff that I'm either producing, since I mainly do producing. But I I do have other movies in the works for this year that are different but fun
Okay.
that I'll be directing. So, you know, got to keep it spicy, got to keep it fun. But the movies I have produced will come out first. So we're going to focus on those.
Sure. Yeah, we'll definitely keep an eye out for them in the future. And then,
Which
uh,
the Dead, that's the next one.
oh, sorry.
Aquarium of the Dead.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Yeah, if you want to say anything about that before we
Yeah. Zombies 3. I don't know if I should have said that, but
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Well, I think I saw Glenn post about that, so I think you're good. But cool. Yeah. Yeah, and we'd be glad to have you on again as well.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Love these type of movies. I love, crazy monster movies and stuff. I know if people meet me, they might not think I enjoy it.
Mm.
Um, you know, but I think they're fun. I think they're crazy and insane, and they're fun to watch.
Oh yeah, for sure. And what's the someone from the asylum has a quote about how you should watch it as well with like friends and
Oh yes, I mean, personally, to watch these movies, and I'm speaking from years of experience. All right, you need to watch them with friends. You need to be drinking and doing whatever else you need to do. And you need to understand that these movies are not to be taken seriously. You need to understand these movies are for entertainment. Everyone making them knows exactly what they are. Most people. There are some directors who think that they are making art, and you notice they never direct with that company again. But you know, most people know what they're making, and they're trying to make something fun and entertaining. So that's that's at least what most of us try and do. We try to make it fun as we can, as entertaining as we can. So
yeah, exactly. Because I've actually screened some of the films and asylum movies I've worked on for my birthday sometimes, and
nice.
yeah, I try to paraphrase that where have a beer and watch. So yeah, hopefully could have more people at those celebrations when COVID's over. But yeah, thanks for joining us today, Brendan. You could find me on Twitter and Instagram, G9892. You could follow the Waffle Press podcast on Twitter at the Waffle Press, on Instagram at the Waffle Press podcast. We're on iTunes, Spotify, Spotify, YouTube, SoundCloud. Please like, share, subscribe. Maybe find something you do like or you don't. Still subscribe. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We've been professionally unprofessional.